Hey, how's it going? So recently, I've been thinking about memes. Everyone loves a good dank meme now and then. Now, a meme isn't just a silly picture or a silly video or whatever. Actually, technically, a meme is a concept that Richard Dawkins came up with. Richard Dawkins invented memes. That sounds like a completely made-up fact. That sounds like saying Kevin Spacey invented the ham sandwich or something. But no, Google it. I promise it's true. Richard Dawkins invented the concept of a meme. But what is a meme? A meme is an idea that is passed on, kind of like our genetics are passed on. A meme is a memetic gene. Ideas get selected for in a sort of a kind of evolutionary process. And that's why some ideas proliferate throughout society and throughout history, whereas other ideas kind of die out over time. And I'd like to suggest that there is a meme war going on, and humans don't use memes to fight one another. The memes are using us to fight one another. Let's talk about it. So I've decided to talk about this meme war because you may have noticed from my previous videos, I don't really mind making jokes that are like political to some degree.
Soda! Do not come.
I'm gonna come. I'm gay.
But I tend not to talk about politics with any level of seriousness, and there is a reason for that, because I think there's a deeper level of analysis at play that determines why our culture gets so stuck on certain issues. And I think that deeper layer is more important than the surface layer. The surface layer being the arguments that we have as part of the national or international conversations that are happening. Also, if I'm honest, I saw an old CGP Grey video from over a decade ago discussing this exact idea, and I thought it deserved some further talking about because it really hit the nail on the head. I think that deeper layer is so much more important. I actually have no issues whatsoever being like friends with someone who completely disagrees with me on every conceivable political issue, so long as we have kind of an understanding that this deeper layer exists. Like if we both understand that our differences are ultimately intertwined with the workings of that deeper layer, then it's kind of fine. Whereas conversely, if I'm having a conversation with someone that doesn't understand that deeper layer, even if like hypothetically I agree with them entirely on our in practice socio-political beliefs or whatever, I still tend to find them tremendously annoying to talk to, if I'm honest. Because most people seem to be under the impression that they arrive logically at conclusions and opinions as if they have access to the full universe of all possible ideas and get to select the ones that make sense, whereas in reality, at least in my view, ideas are more like infectious diseases that use us to continue existing. You only get exposed to a certain very finite number of ideas throughout your lifespan, and the ones that appeal to however your nervous system happens to be wired stick with you and use you as a means by which to propagate. They are contagions made entirely of information. So to flesh this out a little bit more, think of memes, or ideas, like viruses. In one of Richard Dawkins' books, The Selfish Gene, he introduced the idea of memes as like a unit of cultural transmission, you know, like songs and catchphrases and religious beliefs and ways of building certain things that get passed on over time. Memes propagate by leaping from brain to brain through imitation. You know, you see someone else do a thing or say a thing or behave in a certain way and you copy it. And like genes, they compete for scarce resources, but in this case, the resource is attention rather than nutrients that living things use to survive. And ideas are also subject to variation and selection and retention over time. And these different memes that are useful or catchy in some way or another tend to spread, and the ones that are useless or boring die out. So if you have some kind of idea, right, some kind of, again, meme, you might want to share that idea, right? A meme can be any idea. It's not just a stereotypical internet meme. Although an internet meme is a piece of content of some variety that goes viral on the internet because it's a very successful meme. Like, it's not a misnomer, it just doesn't cover all the types of memes that Dawkins was talking about. The way it's used in the internet meme context normally means that we're talking about, you know, a funny image or a video embedded with some kind of humor or an inside joke or some absurd situation or something. But really, just think of a meme as any kind of idea that gets selected for, and via survival of the fittest, the more successful ideas end up passing from person to person. It can be funny internet images, it can be fashion statements, it can be songs, it can be political movements, it can be whatever. Now obviously these spread throughout a population, but they kind of come and go, right? Or at least a lot of them do. Most memes die out after a certain period of time, but some do, at least for a period of time, become contagious. Again, the virus analogy is quite good here. You know, if you've got some kind of silly internet video, people share it amongst themselves. You know, it gets millions of views on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And also a secondary thing happens where the longer that meme sticks around, the more likely someone is to then slightly alter that meme to make it even more contagious. You know, we've all seen like an existing meme that is funny, and then people add a bunch of other wacky bullshit to it, so that if you've seen the first one and then you see this other one, it's then even more fucking ridiculous. And certain really, really successful memes can stick around for years, decades, centuries. The more emotionally stimulating or appealing in some way to the carrier's nervous system a meme is, the more likely that person is to transmit that meme to many others over the long span of time, and the more likely that meme is to be altered over the course of time to become even better at spreading. Now, the length of time that it sticks around for is one aspect of success, but also the type of emotion that the meme provokes is also relevant. If a meme depresses your nervous system, you know, it makes you less excitable and less mentally and or physically active when you engage with it in whatever way, you're probably less likely to share it, whereas ones that amp you up in some way are probably more likely to get shared, right? That sort of makes sense. And anger seems to probably be the most effective version of this, because it's kind of the emotional version of a call to action, right? If you're angry at something, that's like your nervous system provoking you to like do something about a situation. So if a meme, or you know, a news headline or a YouTube video, if it makes you angry about something that's happening in the world, you're much more likely to share it, right? Because sharing it is how you feel like you're doing something about the problem that is highlighted by this meme. Sorry to interrupt, this is just a quick message to say, statistically speaking, you're probably not subscribed, so I'll make you a deal. Press the subscribe button and I won't come over to your house and do this. Alright, thanks. Back to the video. And the next key part of this, which is really the thing that makes the meme war happen, is that since anger is caused by, you know, you're having some kind of physiological response to a situation that exists out there in the world that you don't like. If that anger is in response to something that everyone gets angry at, well then we'll all get angry, and then we'll all do something about it, and then the problem will cease to exist, and then we'll no longer be angry about it, and then the meme dies, right? There are problems we've had in history that were very animating to people that we don't spend time thinking about now, because it's just not a problem now. We kind of fixed it or addressed it in whatever way such that most people don't get as amped about it anymore. But the way to make a meme more successful is to essentially have another team. You're getting angry at what they're doing and they're getting angry at what you're doing. Both of you are animated to try and fix it. You fight over it, and these two anger memes interlock with each other. They form a symbiotic relationship. These two memes keep each other alive by fueling each other. You know, the left wing of politics does something that the right wing of politics doesn't like, and then the right wing of politics does something that the left wing of politics doesn't like, and then they go around and around and around, and they hate each other more and more and more, and they maintain each other's outrage meme, because if one of them died, the other one in time would also die. You can kind of think of it as though the memes themselves are trying to survive, and two conflicting groups that constantly fight with each other does the bidding of the cultural meme that's at play, right? Does that make sense? And the more you manage to split the population down the middle and get as close as possible to a 50-50 split, where some people are going to be angered by one approach and other people are going to be angered by precisely the opposite approach, that combination of two memes is going to be the most successful meme that is possible, presumably. You know, particularly ones where it's hard for people to remain completely neutral. If it really drags people in and everyone has to take a side, them's going to be some successful memes. And I'm pretty sure that even if you just go out of your way to gain more allies, like let's say you approach a group of people who were neutral beforehand and you manage to convert all of them to your team, your version of the anger meme, I think counterintuitively it's actually going to make the other side bigger as well, because those people are then going to go and have more arguments, and any people who felt they could be neutral previously that were kind of connected to those people that you've now activated are going to feel the need to choose a side, and it's not guaranteed to be the same side as the people who are expressing the meme that sort of causes them to come online in the first place. So even when you feel like you're making progress in spreading your preferred version of the meme, I think inadvertently it just proliferates the other one as well, thus maintaining the symbiosis. And this all makes sense if you just think of it like genetics. Ideas get selected for in this semi-natural selection type of process. The ones that survive and proliferate, such as the memes, the ideas that make you angry, these kind of politically enthused calls to action about some outrageous thing that's happening out there in the world, do particularly well, and they maintain their existence. Now, as these memes spiral out of control and become absolutely massive, you end up with this effect where the in-groups are so big that people don't need to directly communicate with people outside of the in-group. group. So you end up with everyone who's expressing one version of this anger meme, variant A, and they're all mad at variant B. All of your friends are variant A, right? So you all get to express similar opinions to one another. This is what we call an echo chamber, right? Several annoying things happen when an echo chamber forms, because not only do they reinforce that they are correct about having the right variant of the meme, but also, since they're just arguing amongst themselves about how angry the other variant makes them, everyone within, group A can construct kind of an idol of people who believe meme variant B, which makes them even more angry and amps them up even more. Even if no actual new information has emerged from meme variant B, just the people who believe variant A and they're in, this group, this echo chamber, will push around ideas and talk to each other in such a way that they make themselves more angry about the other variant. And again, they do this because it's more stimulating to their nervous system. It amps them up more, that it becomes a more powerful meme. And since it's doing so in the absence of any actual information, and it's being selected to be kind of neurologically exciting rather than accurate, it means that their understanding of the other group is going to get increasingly inaccurate over time. They're going to believe that the other group are the most ridiculously, outrageously stupid version, the most anger-inducing version that Group A could possibly come up with. They cease to have any real direct understanding of Group B. They just know the idol that they've built of Group B. And something else that's really annoying that happens is that since each group is isolated from the wider world, it means that each individual group becomes a breeding ground for different interpretations of the in-group meme. So you end up with these large groups fracturing into smaller and smaller groups and having wars over different variants of the meme. Left versus right devolves into socialists versus liberals, libertarians versus nationalists, and it just devolves further and further. You get smaller and smaller groups that are more fragmented and argue amongst each other. Communist versus democratic socialist, ethno-nationalist versus religious nationalist, and it just gets more and more fragmented over time, and everyone ceases to actually communicate with one another. But since everyone is selecting their memes for what stimulates their nervous system the most, and they've always been doing that through every step of the process, and literally everybody does that all the time, all these individual groups think that their idols of all the other groups are accurate representations of the other groups. They don't even realize they have an idol. They think they are just directly looking at the other groups when they're not, really. They'll cherry pick the stupidest versions of everything that everyone else is saying, but really everyone has an idol, this kind of totem of what they think everyone else thinks, rather than actually understanding what they think. Now, this whole process always happened, but it was kind of limited throughout history due to community sizes being fairly small, and up until very recently, there were significant bottlenecks in communication. Most people didn't have all of human knowledge available to them at all times the way that we kind of do. It means that currently the meme war is as bad as it's ever been, and it's continuing to heat up further and further. The internet is just a rapid transit corridor for spreading memes across the planet. Now, none of this is to say that you shouldn't have, opinions on things, ideas about stuff, and share those with each other, but I think that understanding how these opinions are constructed via this sort of weird, contagious mechanism is arguably more important than the beliefs you arrive at themselves, because understanding the underlying principle allows you to have conversations about your interactions with these societal memes. You and someone else can talk to each other about your perceptions of how these different memes align with reality, rather than doing what usually happens, which is people just declaring their undying allegiance to some idea or another, or worse, just reducing everything to an us versus them contest. Now, it is worth noticing that just because you know this, it's tempting to turn this idea itself into another us versus them, as if understanding the meme war exempts you from participation in it. Hate to break it to you, but understanding its existence doesn't exempt you from participation any more than knowing to look both ways before crossing the street makes you impervious to getting run over by a bus. You're still going to be in the meme war to some degree. You can just have a greater awareness of the fact that ultimately that's what's happening. Particularly, and this was stated in that CGP Grey video, which has aged like a fine wine, I think we really ought to be cautious of information or interpretations of information which have bounced around between a lot of other people before reaching you, as that mimetic information may now be largely inaccurate. It might be a totem created specifically to be as anger-inducing as possible, rather than reflecting reality. And also, be especially cautious of mimetic information that you're already primed to agree with. If a news outlet or your favorite YouTuber or a streamer or a podcaster or who the fuck ever creates an hour-long video filled with mountains of information that proves that you were right about everything, the sky's about to fall in and the Green Goblin's at it again and it's all exactly how you said it would be and the truth's about to come out any day now, the next step is not to send said video to every single person that you know. No, the next step is to do what someone would do if they actually cared about reality and not just having their nervous system tickled in a way that makes them feel like a smart boy, which is independently fact-checking every single claim made that requires evidence of some kind. And if the claims are also made of deeper claims which require further fact-checking, you gotta check all those too. Because if you see something that flatters your your ego, i.e. it proves that you were right about everything that you thought already, what's more likely, that you're the second coming of Einstein, or that the meme war is using you like a fleshlight? I think the latter is probably more likely. It's just cool to know that in some sense your brain is the vector that mind viruses use to reproduce themselves, in the same way that my elite level supporters are the financial vector I use to maintain my alcoholism. Speaking of which, thanks as always to my elite level supporters, Thunderbolt 22810, who revealed the secrets of the universe through the medium of interpretive dance, but nobody understood what the fuck they were on about. Nomad Gronk, who was selling popcorn and candy at the crucifixion of Christ. Andrew Maul, who uses scissors to eat. JB Jaren, who travels through time sideways. JDK, who's the reason why there's a Fermi paradox. Mutantious Doom, who switched the positions of Mercury and Venus because it just didn't really make sense for the whole one to be further away. Nikita Lurie, who improved the lives of at least 2 people and then killed everybody else. Aaron Rowe, who loves to hit the left arrow key repeatedly at the start of the video. Bong Chunk, who only exists on Thursday. That One Boy, who recently went extinct by accident but is feeling much better now. Trenton Caldwell, whose bowel movements have been detected by the LIGO experiment. Jimbo Quiz, who can do the thing with the stuff in that place. Draco91, who survived the extinction of humanity and brought us all back, except he switched Fruit Loops for Fruit Loops and gave Mickey Mouse a tail. Enoch Trismegistus, who came over to my house and found out that I'm actually neither a 2D circle nor a 3D sphere, but a 4D Penrose orb. Autumn, who was given the chance to have every superpower from every work of fiction, but just kinda declined. Selena Stopic, whose bowels need washing. Oh no, balls. That says balls. Sorry, I thought that said bowels. Whose balls need washing. Ganster, who knows what happens inside of black holes, but refuses to tell anybody. And thanks to all my other supporters too. Don't forget to join the Patreon or the channel membership if you want to be featured in my video credits or chat on the Discord. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Over and out.